Surging Sparks has been an absolute roller coaster. I mean, we've had the Pikachu SIR become one of the most expensive cards in Generation 9, and I mean, the set is literally sold out nearly everywhere. Though, what's going to happen in the future with the prices of some of these cards? And I'm going to actually be speaking about that throughout this video. However, we are in the middle of a problem with Pokemon cards at the moment, and it seems no matter which way you turn, the most desired products are sold out, though there are some solutions to this issue, which I will be covering in today's video. Though I just want to say, if it is your first time on the channel, I wanted to say hi and welcome. I'm Phil and I run a video marketing business and I love collecting Pokemon cards in my spare time. So definitely feel free to subscribe to the channel to be kept up to date with Pokemon investing and Pokemon collecting updates. Now with Surging Sparks, I'm very excited to see the future of this set, and I will reveal where I think this set will go as an investment later on in this video. Though, like I was just saying, the issue we're all collectively dealing with right now is that our favorite products are sold out, and even future products are sold out on pre-release like Prismatic Evolutions. So you know, when a restock happens, if you don't act within the first hour, it seems like you'll miss out. Though there's actually a new solution for this, which actually brings me to the sponsor of today's video, which is PokeNotified. So PokeNotified is a paid Discord service which immediately notifies users when a Pokemon restock happens. PokeNotified has scripts running constantly, and it monitors the largest retailers including GameStop, Best Buy, Walmart, and many more, and they have just added support for Australian retailers as well. So if you're trying to score some Surging Sparks at the moment, or maybe you want to be alerted when Prismatic Evolutions pre-orders get restocked, by joining PokeNotify, you'll be alerted as soon as the stock is available to ensure you can get the product immediately. Now, the best part is there actually is a 3-day free trial to test it out, and if you use my affiliate code, you'll actually be able to get 25% off from your first month. All the details can be found within the description of this video. Though, with Surging Sparks, we've got some really interesting things that we need to check off, and I think the prices is something we all need to monitor at the moment. I mean, check these out. All right, so Surging Sparks, booster boxes, singles, everything's going through a little bit of a weird period at the moment. Now, if you don't know, yes, Surging Sparks is very, very difficult to find at the moment. Well, you can actually find it, but you just need to pay a lot more than retail price. So I'm on the Surging Sparks booster box price graph at the moment, and you can see some really interesting things have happened with Surging Sparks, right? So when it released, or the pre-release when it kind of got announced, was selling for 147 USD. And then you can see in October when you could pre-order the set, nothing that substantially wild at all, with the pricing very standard pricing for 115 USD per booster box. But you can see what happened around November when the set released. It already started climbing to $158. And right now, Surging Sparks booster boxes are selling for 208 USD per box. So you can see the sealed product has gone up substantially in value. And that's just because a lot of people want to collect this Pokemon set at the moment, right? A lot of people want Surging Sparks, not that much product. And I'm very, very surprised this has happened, because Pokemon have traditionally been really, really good at allocating enough stock to meet demand. This is the first time in a very, very long time that Pokemon haven't been able to meet the market demand for consumers. And, you know, during celebrations in 2021, this is when the last time we really had this on release, right? This is really, really new for Pokemon, okay? So the fact that this is happening, obviously there's a lot of new things coming in and a lot of new demand has came in within the hobby at the moment, and that's causing these prices to climb up in value. However, it's going to be interesting to see what happens and how high a restock or a reprint can happen to kind of get these prices to calm down, because at the moment I think it is quite overvalued. And you know, while I do think Surging Sparks is a great set, I also don't think it deserves $208 for a booster box, right? Oh, and by the way, just a little quick note, I actually will be going live and giving away 108 Paldea Evolved booster packs at the 6th of December at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Now, the upcoming live stream, along with the giveaway, is sponsored by Drip Shop Live. And if you'd actually like to stay in the loop for future live stream giveaways, honestly, the best way to get notified about all this is through my channel's official Discord server. The invite to that can be found in the video's description. Now, moving on, you can also see the Pokemon Center ETB, which is arguably a very desired product as well. The main reason for that is because the Magneton Surging Sparks promo inside the Pokemon Center stamped version. Really cool card. But you can also see this was selling for around pre-release for 158 USD, and it kind of dropped down to 116 USD. Now, interestingly as well, I'm on the Pikachu Special Illustration Rare, right? Now, this is obviously probably the most in-demand card for the Scarlet and Violet era, and the price that this has had pretty big fluctuations, right? right? It's gone up, gone down, but I want to just take you through the journey of the Pikachu Special Illustration Rare. So you can see around pre-release, it was selling for around $300, which is quite high for a pre-release price of a card for the Scarlet and Violet era. Even the Greninja Special Illustration Rare wasn't getting those prices, but you can see straight away when it went and shot up all the way to 596 USD. Huge pricing for a raw copy of a card. For Pokemon, for a modern card, that is very expensive, okay? So if you are new to the hobby, these prices aren't usually like this, right? That is really high. Then you can see it's kind of slowly tapered off, and right now, then it went down to like a little bit of a low for 427 USD, and right now it's climbing a little bit all the way to around 490 USD per raw copy. I still think that's very expensive for this card. I do think it'll level out a little bit, but then again, this is a chase card of an era, and I do think this is an all-star card. It's a very popular Pokemon. Pikachu is the mascot of the franchise, so I don't expect it to, tumble down to anything, like $200, but I do think that the price right now will find some stabilization, and it will be interesting to see where the price kind of bakes in. Now, moving on to the Latias EX Special Illustration Rare, really cool card. You can also see this had a bit of an interesting price journey as well. Went from around 211 USD and was kind of sitting around that $187 mark as well, and then it went to around $208. Now you can see it kind of shot up to 269, and it's kind of finding its feet at around 250 USD. So you've got two cards that you can kind of pull from Surging Sparks that are super high value. And of course, what happens when the singles inside the set are so expensive? Well, guess what? The sealed product also climbs, especially if a lot of people want the set. Now, don't forget, because Surging Sparks is new, a lot of people want to get their master sets, right? So the sealed product is going to go up as long as the prices stay like this. Though I do think a few reprints and restocks could pull some of the prices of these top chase cards down. Another really interesting one to look at is the Milotic. So you can see the Milotic on pre-release was selling for around $100, right? Pretty fair price for a Special Illustration Rare, and especially as Milotic, it still is quite a loved Pokemon, right? Very desired Pokemon. But you can see just as of late, this has now climbed to 160 USD per raw copy, which I do think is pretty expensive, man. So when you're looking at these, you've got now 3 cards already going up above 150 USD. So that does make the value for opening the packs quite good. Now, this is the interesting thing. This is why Surging Sparks has some similarities to Evolving Skies. If you're new and you don't know what Evolving Skies is, it was one of the most popular Pokemon modern sets that released in 2021 and had all the evolution cards, right? Now, the similarities are not with the Pokemon inside the set. The similarities are more to do with the pull rates and the amount of value that the chase cards are within the set. Because of course, when you rip open Surging Sparks, sure, if you don't hit the Pikachu, but you've got a few options to actually pull some pretty expensive cards. Another one on the list, which is also quite interesting, is the Pikachu Gold card. Now, these hyper rare gold cards are actually the rarest cards within the set, and you could actually make an argument that this Pikachu right here is probably the rarest card within Surging Sparks because 1, most people want this card, and 2, it's actually got the most difficult pull rates, these hyper rares. Right now you can see this also on pre-release was selling for 40 USD, climbed up to around $127, kind of went down a little bit to 96, and right now it's sitting at 165 USD. To be honest, this price doesn't surprise me at all because a lot of people who want to get their master sets are kind of chasing the rarest card within the set. Pair that with the fact that it is the mascot of the franchise, so of course this card, I actually think $165 is actually a really fair price for this card, and I wouldn't be surprised if this grew a little bit more in value. Now, moving on again to Hydreigon, which to me is probably one of the more interesting cards within the set. I'm actually surprised that this isn't in the top 3 chase cards of the set. To be honest, on pre-release, I expected this Hydreigon to be one of the most expensive cards. It still is a very expensive card within the set, but it doesn't compete with Pikachu, Latias, or Milotic at the moment, which is really interesting, right? Now you can see this was selling for around $117 when it released. Then it kind of went all the way down to around a $72 card, which I think is quite a good price for this card, especially because the artwork is really unique, right? And now you can see it's kind of went up to $103. I do think that $103 in comparison to the other Special Illustration rares in the set, I do think it's undervalued compared to those. Do I think a $100 card is an undervalued card? No, but in comparison to the other cards, I do think this Hydreigon could see a big climb up later down the line. Now, moving on as well, more interesting cards within the set is the Lisias Appeal. Now, of course, you can see on pre-release, this was selling for $150, and now it's gone down all the way to $67 USD. I'm not too surprised with the pricing of this. I did think it was very overvalued on pre-release, right? And I think that $67 mark is pretty fair for this card at the moment. And moving forward, we can also see the Jasmines Gaze selling for $82 on pre-release. Then it kind of went down all the way to around $35 USD. Right now, it's had a little bit of a climb to $55 USD. Very, very interested to see the price of these when Prismatic Evolutions release, because I do think a lot of the prices are going to go down a little bit because collectors are going to have to be strategic with where they place their money, right? Now, another one here on the list, as you can see, is the Pikachu Full Art. I actually did pull this card when I opened Surging Sparks. I actually really like it. I think it looks really cool, right? Now, interestingly, you can see the card when it released was selling for around 32 USD, went down to around $25, and right now it's climbed up as well to 36 USD. Pretty good pricing for a full art, right? So that's looking all right. I do think it's going to be interesting to see where these Pikachu cards go, because what usually happens is if someone can't get the Pikachu special illustration rare, then they maybe settle for the hyper rare. If they can't get the hyper rare, then they settle for this card here, right? So that's kind of how the game usually works. Collectors have like tiers of where they're going to place their money, right? Now, another one on the list as well is the Archaludon special illustration rare. To be honest, I think this is a really, really affordable SIR, and it's a pretty cool SIR, right? So on pre-release, it was selling for 34 USD, and now it's kind of gone down to around 21 USD and currently selling for $25. I think it's a really good price for a pretty cool special illustration rare. And of course, you can see the Ceruledge, which I think is one of the most cool cards within the set. I really love this illustration rare. I do think if this was an SIR, it would be very expensive. But you can see on pre-release, it was selling for around 31 USD, and right now it's found its feet at around $18, which is decent price for an illustration rare. Nothing too expensive, but I do think it's a pretty cool card to add to your binder. Now, as I said earlier in the video about Surging Sparks' future potential, I honestly think Surging Sparks was the official turning point for the Scarlet and Violet era. You know, because of its early hype, I think Surging Sparks will stay as a heavily desired set for a long time. I mean, hopefully Pokemon can print more products to meet the demand, though, you know, a lot of newcomers are entering the hobby and they're all wondering, why have Pokemon cards become so popular again? Well, I actually cover the answer to that right in this video here. In this video, I look over the new booming Pokemon market and I explain what's actually causing this newfound demand. Click the video that's appearing on screen and I'll see you there.